Run your finger along your jaw, down to the very front, and feel that little bony point sticking out at the bottom. Your chin. It's so ordinary, you've probably never once questioned it. But you're touching a body part that, as far as we know, no other animal on Earth has. Not chimps, not gorillas, not elephants or dogs or dolphins. And here's the part that really breaks people's brains. Not even the Neanderthals had one. Not a single other human species that ever lived had a chin. Just us. And the strangest thing of all? Scientists still cannot agree on why. Let's be clear about what a chin even is, because it's weirder than it sounds. Lots of animals have lower jaws, obviously. But in every other creature, including all our extinct relatives, the front of the lower jaw either slopes backward or goes straight down. Only in modern humans does the bone actively jut forward, past the teeth, into a little point. If you look at a Neanderthal skull next to ours, theirs just slopes away. Ours has this defiant little shelf. In fact, the chin is such a reliable marker that forensic anthropologists use it to tell the difference. If a jawbone has a true chin, it's Homo sapiens. If it doesn't, it's something else. So the question isn't why do we have jaws? It's why do we have this one bizarre, bony bump that nothing else in the history of life bothered to grow? The most obvious guess, the one almost everyone makes first, is chewing. Maybe the chin is a support beam, reinforcing the jaw against the stress of biting and grinding food. It sounds so reasonable. It's also, apparently, wrong. In 2015, a team at the University of Iowa, led by Nathan Holton, actually tested this. They measured how the jaw handles chewing forces across development and found that the chin does basically nothing to resist the bending stress of chewing. If anything, a chin is a strange and inefficient way to reinforce a jaw. Babies chew and nurse perfectly fine with almost no chin at all, and plenty of animals with far more punishing diets than ours get by without one. So, the support beam theory collapsed. The chin isn't structural, which only deepens the mystery, because now we have a body part unique to our entire species that doesn't even seem to do anything. So, if it's not for chewing, what is it for? And here's where the leading theory gets genuinely mind-bending, because the answer might be nothing. The chin might not be for anything at all. Over the last few 100,000 years, the human face has been shrinking. Compared to our ancestors and our cousins, modern humans have small, flat, tucked-in faces. Our extinct relatives, from Homo erectus to Homo heidelbergensis, all had big, robust, forward-jutting faces and heavy jaws, and none of them had a chin. As our face got smaller and retracted inward, folding back under our big, round brain case, the lower jaw came along for the ride, but the very bottom rim of the jaw didn't retract as much as the teeth above it. So as the face pulled inward, that bottom edge was, in a sense, left behind, sticking out. The chin, it's not an invention, it's a leftover. The bit that stayed put, while the rest of your face retreated. Scientists have a wonderful word for a feature like this. They call it a spandrel, a term borrowed from architecture. A spandrel is the leftover triangular space you get when you put an arch inside a square wall. Nobody designs the spandrel. It just appears as a byproduct of the arch. The word was made famous in biology by the scientists Stephen Jay Gould and Richard Lewontin, who pointed at the decorative spaces under the arches of a cathedral in Venice, and argued that not every feature of a living thing is there because it was useful. Some things are just accidents of how everything else is put together. And the researcher James Pampush has argued the human chin is exactly this, an evolutionary spandrel, an accidental side effect of our face shrinking that was never selected for at all. which would mean the one bone that makes your profile uniquely human, the thing you stroke when you're thinking, the thing chiseled onto every superhero, might just be a happy little accident. But why did our faces shrink in the first place? That's where it gets even more interesting, because one leading idea is that we basically domesticated ourselves. When you compare wild animals to their domesticated versions, dogs versus wolves, the tame ones tend to have shorter, smaller, softer faces, along with a whole cluster of other changes. It's linked to lower aggression and lower levels of certain hormones. And some researchers think the same thing happened to us. As humans became more cooperative, more social, and less violent over the last 100,000 years, our own faces may have tamed and shrunk, the same way a dog's did compared to a wolf's. If that's right, your chin is a side effect of your ancestors learning to get along. It's the fossil of our own friendliness, a little bony trophy for becoming a gentler animal. Now, not everyone is fully sold on the accident theory, and there's one clue that keeps the debate alive. On average, men have larger, more prominent chins than women. When a trait differs between the sexes like that, it often means sexual selection is involved. That at some point, a strong chin signaled health, maturity, or good genes, and became attractive, so it got exaggerated over generations. That's why a defined jawline is still treated as a mark of a conventionally handsome face today. Others have wondered if the chin is somehow connected to the tongue and the mechanics of speech, since we're also the only animal that talks. But none of these ideas have held up as cleanly as the shrinking face theory. And that's what makes the chin such a strangely humbling little body part. We have mapped the human genome. We have photographed black holes. We have split the atom. And we still cannot say for certain why you have a chin. If you love these little everyday mysteries hiding on your own body, subscribe, because I go deep on stuff like this every single week. Because here's the thing to sit with the next time you rest your chin in your hand. That small, stubborn point of bone is the single most exclusive feature in the entire human body. Nothing else that has ever lived has one. It may be a leftover, an accident, the quiet fossil of a face that spent 100,000 years getting gentler, or a subtle signal our ancestors once found attractive. Every other species that ever walked this earth ended their jaw with a slope. We're the only ones who ended ours with a point. And after everything we've figured out about the universe, we still aren't entirely sure why.